Muscles of the back of the leg. The muscles of the back of the leg are divided into superficial group and deep group. The superficial group including two muscles. Superficial muscle, the two heads, called gastrocnemius, and a deep bulky muscle called soleus, and a small rudimentary muscle with a very long tendon called palantaris. All these muscles, all these muscles passing behind the ankle joint. Therefore, their contraction produce a common action. What is the common action? Produce plantar flexion of the foot. Plantar flexion of the foot. That is to say, direct the sole of the foot downward. All these muscles and all muscles of the back of the leg are supplied by nerve called tibial nerve. Since all these muscles take their origin from the popliteal fossa, therefore all these muscles take separate branches from tibial nerve in the popliteal fossa, except this bulky muscle. The superficial part of this muscle take normally its nerve supply in the popliteal fossa, but the deep fibers of soleus muscle arises from tibia, from the leg. Therefore, this muscle take its nerve supply at the origin and take branches from tibial nerve in the leg. Therefore, all the superficial group take their nerve supply from tibial nerve in the popliteal fossa, except the deep part of soleus take its nerve supply in the leg by a separate branch in the leg. And what is the action of this muscle? The common action of these muscles are powerful plantar flexion of the foot. Powerful plantar flexion of the foot as during walking, running, or standing on the tip of the toes. If during standing normally, this muscle doesn't produce plantar flexion, but they produce steady. They steady the leg on the foot during normal standing. Let us discuss the first muscle, which is gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius has a lateral head and a medial head. The lateral head of gastrocnemius arises from the lateral surface of the lateral condyle of femur. Lateral head, all lateral head, lateral surface, lateral condyle of femur. While the medial head arises from this triangular area, which is called popliteal surface of femur, which lies between the medial and the lateral supracondylar ridges, called the popliteal surface of femur. And it arises here. From where? From popliteal surface of femur just above the medial condyle. Here. From popliteal surface of femur just above the medial condyle. This is the origin of gastrocnemius. What is the origin of soleus? The origin of soleus take a wide area, which is U-shaped area, inverted U-shaped area, arises from back of fibula, back of tibia, and the fibrotendineous arch between tibia and the fibula. This is the origin of soleus. Arises from the posterior aspect of the upper third of the shaft of fibula. Posterior aspect or posterior surface of the upper third of shaft of fibula, and posterior surface or posterior aspect of the head of fibula, and from a fibrotendinous arch extending between tibia and the fibula. Then arises from soleal line. Arises from soleal line. This oblique line is called the soleal line. Then arises from the middle third of the medial border of tibia. Therefore, its origin from extensive area like inverted U or horseshoe area from the posterior surface of the upper third of shaft of fibula, posterior surface of the head of fibula, soleal line. Sure, it is called the soleal line because it gives the origin to the soleus muscle, and the origin extends to the middle third of the medial border of tibia. This is not appear here, but this area, middle third of medial border of tibia. What is the origin of Belantaris? The origin of Belantaris arises from the lateral supracondylar ridge, lower end of lateral supracondylar ridge, from here, lower part or lower end of lateral supracondylar ridge. Why I mention origin of gastrocnemius, origin of soleus, origin of Belantaris? Because the insertion of all these muscle is one insertion. All these muscle fuses together to form this thick, large tendon, which is called the tendocalcaneus or tendo-Achilles. Why it is called tendocalcaneus? Because it is inserted in the posterior surface of calcaneus. And sometimes Belantaris may have a separate insertion here, just medial to tendo-Achilles in the posterior surface of calcaneus. What is the action of gastrocnemius? The action of gastrocnemius is the common action. Powerful plantar flexion of the foot and the ankle joint, because if you pull the calcaneus upward towards the origin of gastrocnemius, soleus, and Belantaris, this will pull the calcaneus upward and turn the sole of the foot downward. And this powerful plantar flexion during walking, running, or standing on the tip of the toes. And also during normal standing, this muscle steadies the leg on the foot. Um, only gastrocnemius and plantaris passing behind the knee joint. Passing behind the knee joint, therefore, sure they will help in flexion of the knee, but weak action. Help in flexion, plantaris and gastrocnemius. While soleus has no action on the knee joint, their action on the ankle joint only. Um, because soleus has an action on the ankle joint only, what is the main plantar flexor? Sure, soleus, which has one action only on the ankle joint, is the main plantar flexor. Um, what is nerve supply of all these muscles? We said before that all these muscles take their nerve supply from separate branches in the popliteal fossa, from tibial nerve, except deep part of soleus, which innervated from its deep surface by a separate branch in the back of the leg. This is the superficial group: gastrocnemius, soleus, and plantaris. Thank you for good listening and good luck.